Okay. Okay, so we turn it to 0, and then we have our sample 5. Stabilize now. We can remove it. Turn. Second measurement for sample 5. Just be gentle, doesn't spill on the balance. Okay, these are the second reading. A third reading for sample 5. Check to 0. So this is the last reading. That's the third reading of sample 5. So as you can see, we've been able to measure the masses of the 5 different samples we took from unknown ants. So now that we know the masses of all these, what we're going to do is to determine the displaced volume. And in order to determine the displaced volume, we are going to use a graduated cylinder. And as you can see, it measures volume from 0 up to 50 ml being the maximum. We're going to pour some water into this measuring cylinder. It doesn't matter how much volume you take. Just have to make sure that there's no water on the side that can get into it. As you can see, I just put distilled water in a graduated cylinder, and you can see the initial volume reading of the water. You always have to read just at the meniscus, right? So you can see the volume, right? I'm gonna place a metal, my first sample, metal in. You can see the displaced volume. So I'm gonna discard this and do sample 2. So this is my sample 1. So wet. So sample 2, you have your graduated cylinder. Make sure there's no water on the side. And even wipe with a tissue. And try to get all the water. Okay, good. Looks like most of the water. So let's see the reading of the water. We are going to place a second mass in there. You can read the displays volume. You're gonna do this 3 times. So you make sure you don't discard the metal. You have all the metal. This is my sample 2. I'll go on to my sample 3. So let's see the initial reading. We're gonna put our sample 3. For my sample 3, okay, so there's no metal in there. Just clean the water on the side. Okay, so let's look at our initial reading for sample 4. There's no metal in now. I'm gonna place our sample 4 in here. We are on our last sample. I just clean the side. It doesn't matter what volume you start with. So you just have to make sure there's no continuous error. As you can see from here, your volume reading here. And put in sample 5. You shall know what a splash on the side. You see the final volume reading. You're gonna do the volume reading also 3 times, and you're gonna record the display's volumes. Okay. All right, so this is it. So once you know the masses and you know the volumes, and you do the volume 3 times, you can average the volumes out for each sample, average the masses for each sample, and then you can plot a graph and use that graph to determine the density of the unknown. On experiment 1, identifying a solid by its density. And we'll be working on unknown K. I've made 5 samples of this unknown with varying masses. As you can see from here, this is sample 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So my aim is to determine the masses of these samples and also determine the displaced volumes of these samples. So if I know the mass and I know the volume, I can determine the density, right? I use our analytical balance that is placed here, and we're gonna take a sample.